Hello, this is Wmpyr here to talk about Tony Blauer and his spear system. So, I am a second generation Tony Blauer student. Okay, my teacher was a first generation. He became an instructor under Tony Blauer. Now, that being said, I never learned the spear system for some reason. It just wasn't my instructor's focus, at least when he was teaching me. So I'm trying to say that I am not qualified to talk about the spear system. The point of this video is just this is my own personal notes on the spear system. So it's just my own personal study, interpretation, and that comparing it to my own self-defense methods. Why am I doing this? Well, I just recently, the other day, a few days ago, saw a interview with Tony Blauer that I had never seen before. And I think the interview was like maybe 1 or 2 years old. But I was like, wow, this is fascinating. And so I was inspired by that. And then number two was, by comparing his stuff to mine, it at least for me, it helps me better understand my system, my own. What am I trying to do here? How is it different from his? It just helps me better understand what I'm doing. So that's why, to me, it's a good mental exercise. Okay. So Tony Blauer's system, first of all, the spear system. What is it? And this is, of course, this is all my own interpretation. So none of this is official. None of this is, I'm going to say, right. Okay. The only way whether we know if it's right or wrong is if Tony says so. Okay. So from my understanding, when you get attacked by the bad guy, so we're talking about an ambush attack. It is a surprise attack. You weren't expecting it. So when you're truly surprised, you're going to go, oh shit. So at that moment, that's where the spear system comes in. Okay. And then from there, once you do the spear system, you can go into whatever the hex style it is that you do. So to me, that is the main focus of the spear system. Like in Tony Blauer's case, once he does the spear, he has more stuff after that that's still part of the spear system. But the way that he teaches it, I think a lot of people understand it better, is that the spear is there to bridge the gap between, oh shit, and then going into whatever style it is that you practice. It's right in between. So it helps you go from one to the next. So if you don't have the spear system, you may not recover from the oh shit. From that moment where you're truly surprised, it can end right there. You're defeated. So you never got to access your style. So the spear system is to help you access that. And he also calls it the biological airbag, which I think is a very clever way of putting it. So the spear system, what is it? It's a biological airbag. When you're caught off guard, boom, that's what comes out and saves you. So his reasoning behind that, to me, is very, very interesting. So when the bad guy attacks you, they're making action. They're making the first move. So then we all know that reaction is not as fast as action, right? Because reaction comes second. So then he asked, what's faster than action? And he says there's one thing that's faster than action, and he calls it non-conscious movement, which is the startle flinch. So he's taken that startle flinch, which is a very natural reaction that people do, and he weaponized it. And that turns into your biological airbag to help you survive. So he made the startle flinch into a weapon, and you could see that in the bottom right corner. Okay, so that is his concept right there. And he said that statement where the non-conscious movement is faster than action, that's based off of a study that it was some other guy that did the study, and so he said that it was scientifically proven. Now, believe me, I'm all for science and everything, but me personally, I don't know if the non-conscious movement is faster than action. He says it's been proven. Okay, I'm just saying, me personally, it's a hard pill to swallow. Now, I am open towards it, so I'm not going to agree or disagree. I am open. I am 100% open towards it. But there is definitely a part of me that goes, is it really though? Just saying, okay. But yeah, he says that the startle flinch is faster than action, and therefore that's what you got to access, and that's what they're sharpening. Now, here's a part where I feel like I could totally relate to Tony Blauer, but this is from my own experience. Okay, so real quick, I just feel like Tony Blauer's stuff, the spear system and all that, is often imitated in the world of self-defense and martial arts. It's so many times it's imitated and it's stolen and it's never given any credit whatsoever. And the reason why I think it's important to give credit is not because of money or marketing or copyrights or I don't care about any of that. Okay, what I do think is important is for those of us that are serious about studying this kind of stuff, then it's important that we know the source. So if someone says, this is the self-defense system I created, I made this. And it's like, okay, but where does it come from? Like what's behind, what's behind that? What's the story behind all of that? And they don't tell you, and in actuality, it's stolen. So then we can't really go deep into it. We can't further study. We won't understand it. And if you don't explain it, we definitely won't understand it, So that's why it's unfortunate when that happens. But if you cite your sources and you say, hey, I was greatly inspired by Tony Blauer's spear system. So from there, I created my own method, but I highly recommend Tony Blauer or whatever. You cited your source. Now I could study. Now I go, oh, that's where you got your ideas. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, I can see how you changed it or whatever. I can understand it better. So that's why it's so important to cite your sources. And right now I'm about to cite mine. So for me, I was living in Austin, Texas. This is around 2001, 2002. There was a really, really bad storm, a winter storm that just showed up out of nowhere, and it was freezing. It snowed and it iced all over the place. And this was very unnatural, but it happened. I had a puppy dog at the time, Frank, who I lovingly called Francisco. And of course, Mr. Francisco had to go pee. So I took him out, and I was warned that, they told me, they were like, you are going to totally slip and fall, so be careful. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll keep that in mind. But then I started thinking, I was like, I started martial arts in 1990, and I never stopped since. I have enough training in martial arts, break falls, rolls, all that kind of stuff, that I'll be fine. That if I do slip and fall, it'll automatically come out. This won't be a problem. So I completely forgot about it. And I took Mr. Francisco out to pee, and guess what? I totally fell hard. It knocked the wind out of me. So the next time he had to go pee, I took him out, but this time I said to myself, dude, you fell hard the first time. You were lucky you didn't break something. You didn't crack your pelvic bone or something. So it happened to you once. It could totally happen to you again. be careful, get ready, because you probably are going to fall, so get ready to fall. So that thought, that mental thought, completely changed my thinking, so my psychology, and it completely changed the way that I moved and walked. So it changed my physiology. And guess what? Once again, I slipped and I fell, but this time I was totally ready, and I was able to do a break fall, and I was completely fine. And I was like, that's what I was expecting. Why didn't this happen the first time? And I thought about it. And the reason was because the first time I said, it's going to be automatic. I don't need to think about this. The second time, I was thinking about it. So that was the difference. And I believe Tony Blauer in the interview, he said, what did he say? He said that it is a neurological pathway. You have to put it in your neurological pathway. So he's getting the startle flinch, which he said was the faster than action. It is your non-conscious movement, and he's weaponizing it. So in order to weaponize it, you're making it better, right? It's already a natural thing that we all have as human beings when we're completely caught off guard. So he's weaponizing it. So he's putting it into the neurological pathway, and he's sharpening it. And then it becomes your biological airbag. It's part of your arsenal, and it helps you go from, when you're completely caught off guard to now you're ready to access your skills, your fighting skills, your combat skills, your self-defense skills, So anyway, that to me, even though I don't, I never use the word neurological pathway, that's his words. I feel like we're talking about, it's the same idea there, that you have to be thinking. So I've said that to you guys for many, many years now, because this happened to me a long time ago. And that's why I created my awareness package, which were neurological pathways. In that's my own method. I had step 1, step 2, step 3, or whatever that you would just recite in your brain. And so anytime I've been in a self-defense system, I'm in a situation, I would start thinking about my system, and I would do step 1, step 2, step 3, and it's in my what he says neurological pathway. And for me, that just translates to I'm ready. So in a real life situation, I'm ready to go. That's that. I think we're talking about the same thing. Now, that being said, I've said to you guys that my system, which is primarily what I like to focus on, is the Diamond Defense and also the Fiend. The Diamond Defense is best in long range, and the Fiend is for close range. So I've been telling you guys, in self-defense, you want to be in long range or you want to be in close range. You don't want to be in medium range, and you don't want to be in ground range, because medium range and ground range are fighting ranges, and that's not what we're here to do. We're not here to fight. We're here to survive. Because we're here to survive, long range lets you do that. Close range lets you do that. I mean, if you wanted to fight in long range, of course you can. If you wanted to fight in close range, of course you can. But long range and close range really allow you to defend yourself, to survive. And medium range is very difficult to do that. In ground range, I feel like it's very difficult to do that as well. In ground range, for you to neutralize their attack, to defend against their attack, you have to be an amazing grappler to be able to do that. If they're better at grappling than you, then you're just going to get mauled. So it is a fighting location on the ground. And same with medium range. Those are fighting. That's the way I primarily categorize both of those. So I'm all about long range and close range. So right here, Tony Blauer's system, the bottom right photo, you could see he's using the spear right against the spear technique. He's using it against the haymaker. So that means this is medium range. Okay, the haymaker is going to be launched from medium range. And so Tony Blauer's spear system is for medium range. All right, so I want you guys to understand that. So it's totally different from mine. So why do I do long range and close range, and preferably long range? I said is safer and easier, is because exactly that. It's safer and easier. Um, People might say, well, what about when this is happening or that is happening? When there's 10 guys, they're all armed, and you're in a closed room, it's locked, and they all have weapons. What do you do then? And they have you surrounded. Well, I mean, that is a super difficult situation. You're probably just going to get killed. You're at their mercy. So why are we trying to answer a super difficult question, one that may not possibly even have an answer? Why don't we start with something much, much easier? So that's why I say long range and close range, but especially long range. That's where I want you guys, and hopefully 90% of you guys, if you're ever in a situation that you could do the diamond defense and survive. And I'm including, I don't care what age you are, what gender you are, that's what I'm recommending, you know. But now, what Tony Blauer is doing here is for medium range. You're being attacked in medium range. So it is a much harder situation, much harder, okay? So that's just super different. Now, what if I get attacked in medium range? Of course it's possible. Of course, even though that's not what I'm looking for, right? In real life, things happen not according to the way that I want. They just happen the way they happen. So if I get attacked in medium range, what do I do? Well, my answer to that has been combat sports. For many, many years, it was just combat sports. And then it got to the point where I started combining my Kali, Eskrima, Arnis techniques with the combat sports. But primarily, it's combat sports based. So right here, the bottom right photo with Tony Blauer blocking the haymaker using his spear technique, what would I be doing? Well, what I'm doing is very, very similar to what you would see a kickboxer do, or a boxer do, or an MMA fighter do. It would be something along those lines. That's what I would be doing, with some Kia sprinkled on top of it. But that's what I would do. I've been telling that to you guys for many years now, and to this day, that's what I would do. I don't want to be there. It's a fighting range, but if it happens, that's what's coming out. I can tell you that. Okay, now, so it's not that I'm in disagreement with Tony Blauer, because I mean, if what he does, if you can access that, yeah, it seems better. It seems better than my what I would do, but for me, what I do is natural, and I've done it for many, many years, and that's what comes out for me. What he's doing here is unnatural for me. So he would beg to differ, because I know that it's based off of the startle flinch, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe if I did the spear training, maybe I would get comfortable with this. But as of right now, I have things that are way more comfortable for me than that. I don't like the idea of. I don't mind so much where his right hand is, but where his left hand is to block the punch like that, I really don't like that. That's not something I've ever done in full contact fighting. It's just not part of my thing. His right arm I do like, and I do use that kind of movement. Like I said, I've combined the Filipino martial arts, the Kia movements, into my combat sports defensive movements, and that's where the wedge comes in. So to me, I can identify that as, oh, that's the wedge, his right hand. But the left hand, no, that's, for me, that's a that's where I would be doing more of a destruction type. So it would be covering up my head. It would be more of an elbow uh, block, so I'd be using my elbow. Yeah, no, 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 no. So I'm just saying, okay, it's just I'm not against. I think he is the master, and his research and all that is fascinating. It's amazing. It's very in depth. I still study it to this day. I consider myself, and I am, like I said, a second generation Tony Blauer student, even though I've never officially taken a spear course. Um, just saying there. So, is there something better than what I do? Yeah, I think the spear system can be better. I admit that. I'm just saying that it just doesn't feel natural for me. So what do I do instead? And what I've taught you guys also for it's been years now, but I always go back to combat sports, and I've been telling you guys this since the beginning, which I said, okay, let's say you got three guys surrounding, coming after you in a dark alley, all right, and your knife is out, but there's three guys coming after you. So in that situation, I said, Plan A should be your Escrima. Okay, Plan B is your combat sports. So that if I'm in Plan B, that's where I'm doing knife boxing to get the hell out of there to survive. But that's a really bad situation, and I'd rather not, but it's better than having nothing. So once again, in this bottom right photo, if the guy throws a haymaker at me, I'm using my, combat sports with Kia sprinkled on top. That's my plan B. That's what's going to come out. I don't want to be using that. The diamond defense is self-defense, but it's really Kia at its best, in my opinion. It's Kali Escrima Arnis at its finest. That's the diamond defense. Okay, but so for here, this medium range, is there something better? And this is where I was fascinated by Tony Blauer's recent interview, where he basically said this. He said, you have to be in a nonviolent posture, but you got to be able to fight from it. So right before this happens, the bottom right photo where the guy throws a haymaker and Tony Blauer goes into the spear system. So right before that, he was in a non-violent posture. Okay, and that is super, super, super copied. A lot of self-defense instructors teach that kind of thing, right? And me too, me included. But for me, I don't know where I picked it up, but and Tony Blauer said that if you're like your hands are up going, hey, I don't want any trouble, but if you really look at the way they're standing, what they're doing there is no different than a boxing stance or a Muay Thai stance or a self-defense, some kind of martial arts stance, okay, that you're really doing a self-defense. The only thing that makes it self-defense is that your hands are open, right? But if you take away that and you replace that with fists, it's no different than a martial arts fighting stance or like I said, a Muay Thai stance. It's really no different. And he said that body language is 60% of the communication. So even though you're saying, I don't want any trouble, they're going to look at your stance and they're going to go, wait, it don't match. His body and what he's saying don't match. So they're going to figure you out, at least subconsciously, is what Tony Blauer is saying. And for me, yeah, that's what I used to do, 100%. I would have my hands out saying, hey, I don't want any trouble, but I'm totally bladed and I'm totally ready to fight, So Tony Blauer is saying that if you do that, you cannot access your start of flinch. Is my understanding that that's what he's saying, because you're giving the wrong communication and you're letting them know that you're ready to fight, so then they're going to adjust to that, and then they're going to be even more deceptive, and it's going to mess things up is what that's what I got out of the interview, and that makes sense to me. That does. So for me, that's fine, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to combat sports anyway, because this is already a screw up for me. This is already a plan B. But once again, is there something better? And what I've taught you guys, you know, for years now, is a truly defensive stance. So I switched my fake defensive, fake nonviolent posture to a real nonviolent posture. And that happened when I really, really focused on defense. And I basically ditched the offense. And to this day, you guys ask me questions about, well, when do I counterattack? When do I start attacking? And it's like, really, that's not the focus. So once I started changing my mind there, which was huge, right? And that's something that I don't see Tony Blauer talking about. He doesn't talk about ditching the offense. And for me, this is huge, is ditching the offense. But what I want you guys to know is that even though I ditched the offense, it sounds like I'm not attacking whatsoever. If you ever go full contact with someone that's just rough, someone that's bigger, stronger, and meaner than you, they may not throw a single punch at you, but just being in a physical altercation with them, that in itself is horrible. that in itself is rough enough. Okay, that in itself is discouraging. So there are tricks like that I've learned and I've added. For example, wrenching. For example, the wedge. Those are things that I've added to my system. And then if someone's watching this from a camera from far away, and Tony Blauer's in his interview mentioned something like this, where him and the person he was talking to, they were saying that I think it was the interviewer, that person had gotten complaints. As he was a police officer, and he was getting complaints because they thought that he assaulted the other person. But then once the security cam footage was aired, or when they watched it, they realized, oh no, it was the other way around. He was the one being attacked, and he was the one saying, hey, I don't want any trouble, put down your weapon or whatever. And the other guy was like, I don't care, I'm going to come get you. Or the other guy was 100% aggressive. But from far away with no audio, people thought that he was the one being aggressive. And that's something. I'm not saying that I'm modeling my system around that, but it's good to have that covered. I'm not going to hold myself back just to make that happen. No, I'm just saying that me trying to do self-defense properly has taken me in that direction where it already automatically does that, where I am not throwing a punch or kneeing the guy or elbowing the guy. I'm not doing those things. Yet I'm able to strike them and discourage them and distract them and confuse them. All of those things are there for me to play around with to weaken the individual. But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. Let me go back to, is there something better that I can do in this medium range situation? And what I've taught you guys, I've already made a video on this, is the left hand checks their right hand. My right hand is checking their left hand. My shoulder, either shoulder, is going to check against their headbutt, and my knee and my shins are checking against their knees. Okay, it's the way that I stand, the angle that I present myself, and I'm worried about those three main attacks. Okay, can they do more attacks? Of course they can, but those are the three that I'm concerned about in medium range: the headbutt, the knee to the groin, and punch with either arm. So those are the ones that I'm going to cover. And by me covering it, I am not thinking I'm going to knee them. I'm not thinking I'm going to elbow them. I'm not thinking I'm going to fight them, right? I'm just thinking I need to block, because those are coming. So when I'm having a defensive, non-violent posture, it really is, I'm not thinking violence. I'm thinking violence is coming at me, but I'm not thinking of doing violence. So in that sense, it's sincere. Now, Tony Blauer may argue and say, no, no, Wmpyr, that it doesn't work that way. Yeah, I don't know, but that's the conclusion that I came to, and that's what I've been teaching. And for me, that was even better than the combat sports response that I have for medium range. Okay, and this is for my own conclusion for medium range. So either way, when I look at Tony Blauer's spear system and I look at mine, there are some things that we do. I feel like is similar or we agree upon, but the main idea of how to defend and all that is quite different. Is pretty different. Thankfully, I'm I'm glad that it was different. If it was similar, I mean that's fine too. Because I know that I wouldn't have just stolen it from the guy. Uh, but yeah, mine is quite different. So anyway, that's it for now. Thank you for viewing, and take care, folks.